Alright, I'm using a nail kit. This one is a Kiss nail kit. And I'm picking up like it has like different sizes of nails, and it has like nail glue plus different size of nails, and so I picked the right ones for the fingers, how they will fit. I will need a nail cutter, file, and maybe sandpaper to finish. That's pretty much it. So I'm gonna start cutting those pieces. So I have these nails. I'll just start by cutting because they're too wide, too big. I'm just removing some of it, you know, because it's gonna go like kind of like that. And I don't stick like the whole thing. The reason for that is I want some nail breathing here, and I don't want to have this little. There's one detail, but the cuticle here is tight with the fake nail. And what happens after a few days, it starts to grow and it will separate like that, and it makes like a very small gap. It's really hard to file or to glue here. So if something happens there and you're strumming a string down and it catches into the treble strings will catch in there and pop the nail out. So that's why I'm doing just half of it, and I'll show you later why it works. So basically I'm cutting each of them, maybe half of it, whatever, a little bit round. Fit there. I'm gonna file them, shape them better, turn on like that. Go here, and my son is playing games. So I'm gonna file that so it's smooth and round. Alright, so I'm filing under, just so it rounds up that edge, right, like that. And then the sides a little bit, just so it's smooth, and the top a little bit at the gap there, so it's gonna be kind of a little thinner and smoother here, smoother joint. I'm gonna file it later too, so first one is done. I'm gonna do the same with the other ones. Okay, now I filed the 3 nails. They're in shape and smooth. Now what I'm gonna do is prepare my nails, so I make sure there's nothing left over, right? There's none like whatever debris of glue or the previous nails I had, whatever. So I'm using my file a little bit to kind of just file it, so they're kind of scrap a little bit, but it's gonna make the glue stick a little better. And I'm gonna do the same with the inside of the nails. So, whoops, I'm gonna take a nail like that, reverse it, and file the inside under it with like some paper or something, just to scratch a little bit of it inside. So it's kind of making small little, it's not as smooth, right? So it's gonna help the glue to stick a little better too, right? It's kind of, there's lines or, you know, stuff. So I'm gonna do that with the 3 of them. As you can see, my nails now, since I'm doing that for like about 20 years, my nails are kind of very thin and flappy because they're scrap all the time because of that. So but I try to keep them as long as I can, so they will be the right length. And then I'm gonna stick a fake nail on top of them. They're gonna make 2 layers, if you will. So it's gonna be a little thicker because I'm gonna have the plastic, because this plastic is not very much thick. It's kind of flappy too. So you can flex it too much easy, so it's gonna break on its own. So if you use them without your real nail, a long real nail, and if you cut them short and you just create a nail with a plastic one, it won't be very strong. So I try to keep those under, and then so it's gonna make 2 layers, right? So it's gonna be doubled, right? So so now I'm gonna stick them on. So what you want to do, and what's very important, is put in just enough glue, so the glue will surface under the nail. So what you want to do here is stuff to have the right good lighting here. You're gonna put glue on the tip here all along, and then you're gonna kind of grab your fake nail, put it against the tip here, like that, if you will. and then I'm gonna kind of push it flat like this. So it's gonna make this like that. So the glue will kind of get pushed out from this joint here. So I will hold that in place for about 10 seconds or something, until it's sticked, and then it will stay there. So I'm gonna do that with the index here. So I'm gonna use the nail glue. Put a drop or two, maybe 1 drop should be enough, and just like, you know, layering it on top there so it's enough. Take my nail, hopefully it will work. Holding it for like 10 seconds or something. Sometimes if I put too much glue, the glue will kind of grab my fingers and I'm stuck on top of my fake nail, and it's really terrible to remove, but whatever. You have to be careful. If you try not like going too far with your fingers on the left hand to, you know, to stick in that glue. So it should be good now. Yeah, see, I'm stuck a little bit. There you go. Put a little too much glue, but that's fine. I want enough, because a very important detail, and that's really important. That's why I put a little more glue than I should. Maybe but it's to make sure there's no bubble of air. And air, you can see, you don't see any like you would see like a spot that's wider because it's not touching the flesh part, if you will, the collar. You will see a different color and a pocket. If there's not enough glue, there might be a pocket of air, like you know, imprisoned in the middle. So if that happens, I mean, you should probably try to remove it as soon as possible. I know it's hard when you just put it. The glue is really, really hard to remove. So you may have to remove it and start over, because otherwise this little bubble of air could create a fungus, because it's, you know, that plastic doesn't breathe. So if you have humidity from your inside of your finger and goes through your nail, it will stuck in that little bubble and gap, and it will make moist, and it will eventually become dark, like black a little bit, and it's a fungus. It happened to me a few times. It gets green or black a little bit. If that happens, then if you see that, eventually after a little while, remove everything right away. Maybe file the top of your nail and try to remove it and let it breathe for a few days. Make sure you don't, if you don't catch it in time, it might be a really bad fungus and you'll lose your nail, and your nail will take forever, and it's painful as shit. So never happened to me, but I'm careful. Always watch and make sure that there's not like a bubble, a gap here that could be created on between the nail and the fake nail. So I'm gonna stick the other ones. Come back. Okay, so once they're stick on them, I'll leave a little bit of time for whatever exceeding glue to dry a little bit, and then I'll start. Just like I see my real nail under here, you can tell. Let's try to focus. Hard. I won't. Let's see if I do this. Better. Okay. So you see, so I'm gonna try to remove too much, because otherwise I will have to file all of that out. But so I'm just gonna use my, zoom out a little bit. Just my clipper here to cut whatever is too much. Try to be careful, because sometimes when you cut too close, it makes like a separation between the tip. You don't want that, because it's gonna separate from the glue. So here I removed some. Try to go in circles like that. Like that. This one. Normally the ring finger is the longer one. Keep it a little longer than the other ones. So now it's shorter, so I can start filing. So that file is done. I should use another one. My files are always done. That's the problem. All right, so kind of go like that, and I will try to shape it the way I want it a little bit. So round it up, and so on, right? It'll take a little while, so I'm gonna keep working on it. I'll come back. So now I did the most of the work, meaning like the filing, make it round. So now it's kind of in shape. It's not totally done, but it's in shape, pretty close. I'll have to try with the guitar, but it's what I'm used to kind of see. I'll have to use the guitar and try. But now what I want to do is maybe file the top here before. So I'm gonna go to file this little gap. There's a little joint. Make sure it's smooth with the rest of the nail. So I'm gonna kind of go on the top there and file the top smoothly. Just try to make it very, very smooth. Sometimes you may want to put the final little drop of glue that you're gonna drop, and it's gonna kind of make a seal. But you know, it is already done pretty much. So I want to just make sure it's not catching, so I can file more here in the corner. Kind of like that. So now it's pretty smooth. See, it's not like a catch here. So now it's smooth. So I will move on and do the other ones the same. So now I'm done with the top. It's all smooth. It's very smooth. Works. So now what I'm gonna do next is take a file with just to hold like a 600 sandpaper. 600 sandpaper is good because it's just too smooth to polish, if you will. It's just a good grain size for filing. And so I'm gonna start like really just filing all around it, right? So basically, sometimes what I do is just go at an angle and kind of polish it. It's not big enough to remove a lot, so that's really the final stuff. If you still need to reduce them, you may want to use a different file. And then, but if you're pretty happy with the length as they are, there might be a little long, but it's good. It's actually pretty good, I think. Another thing, you see the shape that I'm giving? It's another thing, very important thing. See that angle here? It's kind of a round curve. This is a very important thing, because if it's too circular, if it's like more square, right? Like the same as this side on this side would be kind of a square. The thing is, when you're gonna pluck a string like that, right? It's gonna catch. It's gonna be kind of catchy here. So if you feel that, it's because it's not round enough. So maybe you want to kind of prolong the curve of your finger, but very long. Like if it was like a big circle curve, like, you know, going like a big curve. This curve is taken from a big circle. That's what I mean, right? The radius of that. So otherwise, it's a smaller curve, and it's more like closer to a square, and then it's too small, it's going to catch. And this allows for different angles of attack. So if you play more straight or more sideways, whatever approach you have, depending on your playing, and whatever you have to do when you play, you're gonna still have a good nail that plays well and gets across the string easily. It doesn't catch there. So so that's a really important thing about shape. See, so it's makes a smoother attack. It allows the flesh to play and the nail to play at the same time there. So I'll go along and just like kind of polish every finger around, like just so it's round, and also on top of that curve, because I want the edge to be really smooth as well on every surface, right? So it's very smooth, right? So I'm doing that first. So it's pretty close to be done. And for the thumb, I do something different. You could do the same, but it's a little more complex. But I'm using normally a little Kleenex paper or something, and it takes a long time because I'm putting glue. I'm kind of sticking Kleenex paper, waiting for it to dry, which takes a long time. So I won't show that to you right now. It's kind of crappy to make, but you could use a plastic. Why I don't use a plastic for my thumb is I feel like the plastic is a little smoother sound. It's a little rounder, a little more. It's not as clear or precise. Then I like the bass or the thumb to play a little clean, a little maybe a little brighter. So using the plastic nails will kind of damp the attack of the thumb. So I prefer using just the nail with the reinforcement of that paper. It does keep a little more a brighter sound. Or I mean, you could use different things, or if you don't have to reinforce the thumb, it's fine. But the thumb seem to want to crack always kind of really deep in the root there. So when it happens, it's gonna be like a little check, a little like cut gonna appear there, and it's taking forever to get out. So sometimes I started to actually show you quickly, but I use like whatever piece of Kleenex paper. Try to use 1 or 2 layers max. Normally I use like scissor to cut it right, but I would put glue and then kind of stick that and wait. Try to kind of make it in the glue goes in. I put some more glue on top, and then I'll wait. It takes a lot longer to dry because it's not contact. So and once it's dry, I'll kind of remove the exceed and file and maybe put more glue again to finish. But I started doing that on the side just to patch the corner that was cracking all time here. So just like it's still just a smidgen, like just a little part. Now I'm doing kind of just like the tip or part of it. You can see where, because it's kind of crappy. Like from here, the tip, just reinforce that part. Anyway, you can see for yourself. So what I'm gonna do after that is just go on the guitar and try the nails. All right, so what I'm trying to do here will be to try the nails if I like their sound, and it works pretty well already, so I'm happy about that. This one is a little brighter. It's part of that A finger. The annular sounds always different because the attack is a little more straight compared to the 45-degree angle of these fingers. This one plays slightly more right? Slightly more 90-degree than 45. So okay, so that seems to work. I'm trying to look if mostly this one if it's too bright. And what I'm gonna do to adjust that at the end, I'm just gonna use the 600 sandpaper again, fold it on the string. It's hard to do with one hand and filming. And I'm gonna kind of play on it for a while with the angle that I'm used to play. And I normally finish always with that. So you play with the same way you would play normally. So it kind of feels how it's gonna sound and how it's polishing basically the area where the string is playing with where your finger plays across the string. So make it flat and smooth. So I'm gonna do that for each of them. This one I can feel it's a little rougher. I need to do it a bunch of times. All right, and then now it's really smooth. So that's how I do it.